but I know how to get users. So.
What chain is going to be able to verify and check that at scale? There really is only MultiversX.
We can't afford to pay very high fees. We can't afford the network to be down.
The ultimate user experience would be whatever application you're using, there is a way of verifying it very, very quickly. So
if it's centralized, there's that issue of who's controlling, the answer that I'm getting.
Do you guys want to come into the marketing department? Because you're just doing a great job here.
Today, I sit down with some amazing minds and builders and discuss the intersection of AI and blockchain. We've got the CMO of MultiversX, Adam Bates, also the founder of AI Nexus, Mihai Rad, and last but not least, the co-founder of Tada, Alex Copper. So much to discuss, so let's dive into it, but make sure to stick around for a live demo of AI Nexus and their amazing world building tool. First off, how are you guys doing today? Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, all good. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
So much going on in the world of AI and blockchain, especially with as quickly as AI is moving. So we've got a lot to talk about. And not only that, I think you two, Alex and Mihai, you just announced a partnership between your two projects. I think just yesterday.
Yeah, it was. Yes,
We did.
That's true. And it was a long time coming, I guess, because Tada has already proven that blockchain and AI can coexist together in a very nice fashion. And we're still building our app. We won't be live until Q1 next year. But once we're live, we're going to have so many use cases for the products that Tada offers that is just insane. And yeah, I'm happy we announced the partnership. It was kind of like a no-brainer to get there, but it's a good one.
We've been talking for couple months, and so pretty happy that we could get something through and looking forward to where we're going to build together.
Awesome, very cool. So let's start off and dive into a little bit about each of your projects. Alex, tell us a little bit about Tada.
Yeah, so first off, Tada means data inverted, and so we're all French, and in French we have a thing called vellon. It's when you kind of invert the syllables of a word, and that's what Tada is, on top of it being Tada, when it works the way it should. But yeah, in a nutshell, what it is it's a platform, a crowdsourcing platform where anybody can come in, contribute to data collection efforts to collect data that will train AI systems. And then you're getting rewards for doing that. So we're a data provider for AI builders. And that comes from us building AI for the past 10 years, building voice assistants and speech technologies. And we saw an opportunity in the market, and we wanted to bring our own solution, solving a couple pains, as one would say. And so, that's what Tada is all about.
Awesome, yeah. Until first learning about your project, I didn't realize how much of a need there was for the data that these companies use, and it's such a brilliant use case to pair the users with the retail, and it really puts the Web3 in the picture, kind of takes the big business and the Web 2 out of it, which is great. I love the concept.
Yeah, it's. I mean, we use Web3, but the only thing you have to take out of it is that it brings a lot of value. So if Web 4 was the thing, we'd do it with Web 4. I mean, what I'm saying is we're not doing it for Web 3 just because it's fun. We're doing it because it brings a lot of value, and Web 2 is really not really in the game anymore, and so that's really important.
I agree with that point.
Too.
Awesome. Mihai, tell us a little bit about what's going on with AI Nexus.
Yeah, so we're still developing the product. So we're not live yet with our app. However, we're building with a team of 10 people right now. So we're making very good progress on all fronts. AI Nexus was designed to be serve a gamified social infrastructure platform. I know that's a lot of words in one sentence, but the goals are pretty big. So what we're trying to build is an architecture where anyone can basically come in and enjoy multiple variations of fun, education, work, socializing, games, and basically anything you can think of. It's sort of like what the social media platforms are doing. If you ask someone at the beginning of Facebook, what's it for? Maybe they could have said or it was intended just for college, campus communication or something like that. But then it grew into something very spectacular. And that's what we're trying to do. Just lay out the foundation, make the sandbox, give our users the tools. And with AI, this becomes like 100x more interesting. and then just let the users do what they like to do. So it's a platform for everyone, basically, and it's the platform that we hope will turn users into creators very easily, very seamlessly.
Yes, yeah. The first time I saw your protocol was when you were doing the demo of the kind of the studio, and it was right after we did our podcast in our space. And the thought of being able to do that in a virtual environment with guests sitting across from you, it's really cool. So excited to
Yeah.
see more of that, and we might actually have a little bit of footage that we'll share with the audience later on how this works. Perfect.
Yeah, I'll risk it all and go live in the demo of the app. We'll see which ones
Love
you
it.
prefer.
And again,
Yeah.
with us, we have the CMO of MultiversX, Adam, joining us. So thanks for joining us, Adam.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. You know that.
Let's dive in. First off, starting talking about MultiversX and how the chain and the platform really helps facilitate projects like this, AI Nexus and Tada, and allows for the growth of these projects with blockchain.
I mean, I'll just share my own personal experience, if that's fine, in a couple of words, because that's, I think, the most relevant to your audience. For me, it started with the hackathon last year, which we won first prize in the gaming category, which was a very big surprise. And then that kind of validated the idea that AI Nexus is a project that really should become mature and should be developed fully. And I started doing so. And in the process, in the past year or so, I've been in touch with the MultiversX team. Everyone has been super helpful. We applied for the X Launchpad spot as well, and we won that. And we're in the middle of it as we speak.
Congrats on that.
Yeah, there was a lot of interest and a lot of positive feedback, which I'm really happy to see. And then it was just I don't know, a very smooth ride up until this point. We haven't integrated a lot of Web3 stuff in our app yet because we're still at the point where we're developing the architecture and the content of the app. The Web3 integration is scheduled for mid-January. We did run some tests just to make sure that we understand the tech and the Web3 implementation. It was very easy. We logged in with the wallet. We made some rooms NFT locked. We unlocked some items in the game by using NFTs. So basically, that's the basic functionality that we want to have.
Awesome. So Alex, are there any features or anything about MultiversX that you feel are really special or really help the AI narrative?
Yeah, so I like Mihai's feedback because I feel like I've been through the same road with all the team. And so for us, it kind of started with a benchmark, having the idea of collecting data through a blockchain system. You need to find the right partner because it's going to be your strongest partner. When we do a data collection job, it's roughly going to be 1,000 hours of audio files, and one file is going to be 5 to 10 seconds, just to give you an idea. So that's a lot of interactions happening on the chain. And when somebody produces, there's going to be 3 persons checking. So that's roughly 5 million transactions is what we calculated. So having a partner that can have something scalable, stable, that's tried and tested at a low cost was on the technical side what we were looking for. We were also looking for a partner that would help us launch the project. So Mihai mentioned the Launchpad. The Launchpad on MultiversX has had really good history of launching projects strongly. Plus, we were also looking for help on the marketing side, getting awareness. And we like the way MultiversX did it. So we benchmarked about a dozen chains, and in the end, we really wanted to go with MultiversX, and MultiversX accepted, us on board. And so we went through the whole process. Was pretty convenient. And so back to your question on AI. I mean, I remember when we started to talk, it was during the first time actually I met with Benny. It was Benny and Danny in a hotel in Paris. Was during the first X days in Paris. So that was back in 2022, I think, October 2022.
Yeah.
For us, for what we're doing, the tech is outstanding because we've seen 0 downs. It's been running 24/7 since day one, and so that shows really that we are happy with the decision we made on our side, and then MultiversX's decision also to accept us as a partner. That has really helped us to build and being able to move forward. And then afterwards, the technical team. So I'm not a techie, even though I like tech. But from what I hear, I see smiles every day. So the tech team's happy, and if ever there's something, we have somebody to talk to, and that's really the kind of partner you want to have when you're building tech. I mean, building is hard enough, so you want to make sure that your partners are there for you when you need to grow and move forward, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Alex covered the second part of my answer, which was basically the tech and integration aspects. Obviously, we want to bring in a lot of users to our app as well, much like Tada is already doing. And we can't afford to pay very high fees. We can't afford the network to be down. We can't afford glitches. When your app is played by hundreds of thousands of users, or maybe even millions, hopefully, in a year or two, you need everything to run smoothly. And same as Alex, we ran through a couple of blockchains as well. To be honest, we started with Multiverse, and then we said, whoa, let's see, is this the best option? I'm not going to name the names of the other chains that we looked at. We looked at about 5 or 6, and then we're back. So yeah, I also believe it was the right option. And I'm glad the guys at Tada launched before we did, and they can confirm that everything runs smoothly. So I'm not nervous on this front, at least, not at all.
Yeah, awesome.
Do you guys want to come into the marketing department? Because you're just doing a great job here. It's like, I'll just sit back and take the glory.
Obviously, if things didn't go well, we wouldn't want to talk about it and be here today, I guess, right?
Yeah, that's true.
What's it they say? Success has many fathers and failure is an orphan. So hopefully we'll all be fathers, eh?
Yeah. I love that you both kind of mentioned the tech involved too, because it is one of the most technologically advanced blockchains in the entire space, especially when it comes to scalability and what can be done with it. I think a lot of people may not get the amount of scalability we might need in the future. I've heard people mention 10,000 or 100,000 TPS. I think once we really gain adoption, that's not even going to be a fraction of what's needed. I love what you said in our first meeting, Adam, about the story, telling your friend about the scalability and what the chain can do. And so many people just don't know. It's we got to get that story out there.
I think what the guy said, and in my dim distant past, I used to play games like Final Fantasy VII, and I started playing in the evening, and then I was still playing when sunshine came up and had to go to work. So I've stopped playing games. I watch my children play games, etc. There is nothing worse when you're playing a game, for example, and it freezes. It's like, and all people remember is the worst experience. They often don't remember the best experience. The same with data, or you can't get it quickly, or it's corrupted. And I think what makes me super proud and why I joined the guys at MultiversX is that we can talk all day about sharding, adaptive sharding. I've actually done some sort of research into which words are mentioned, and I think something like DeFi in 1 month gets 250,000 mentions and sharding about 300.
Wow.
So it's not a popular subject, but only when we have people like you guys, Mihai, Alex, and Dave sharing the stories about why sharding or scalability is so important, will people actually realize that. So I'm not, whatever the narrative is to say we can scale, the most important thing is to say, hey, I've got a game here and I can have 30 people around the world, whatever frame rate you've got, or I can bring 1,000 people in. And I think you said something like, how many transactions or how many bits of data you got? 5 million?
Yeah, usually for one job, for one company, 1,000 hours is 5 million TX.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Number,
and that's just a part of it. And then if you bring in we look at LLMs, we talk about AI here, and how much processing power they need. There's even stories of Microsoft opening up 3 Mile Island again, a nuclear power station, to be able to power things. And you go, and what chain is going to be able to verify and check that at scale? There really is only MultiversX. I can see it. I would love there to be 3 or 4. I just think then it will drive even bigger adoption, because we can't, MultiversX, we can't deal with every single client in the world that wants to use AI and scale and have it secure and to have it trusted and verified. So I'm all for every other chain building. And if they follow what we're doing, hey, I'd love 10 other companies to be doing adaptive sharding. Great, because we know it works. But I think this is coming back as in storytelling, back to the start, having you guys here is really important to say on the use case as to why MultiversX and scalability actually has sort of real world relevance. And to a gamer in a basement or someone looking at data and processing it, it's like, it's great. That's the use case for me. So yeah, I'm really super proud that you guys are building on it. And I'm glad that you say people react to you with a smile when you call them up. That makes me very proud of the team that we've got. It's not a big team, but they're pretty dedicated to looking after everyone that wants to build on us.
And it feels in the ecosystem on other products. Like I use xPortal. I think it's one of the best wallets. And so that is also important because if you want to onboard people and if they need a wallet, you want to have something that works. And so like having the whole circle of solutions is also important. So having the tech, but also having the UI and front facing apps. It's hard usually for a business to be able to be on every kind of aspect.
It's hard, yeah. And someone asked me many times, what's the biggest barrier to Web3 adoption? And I think it's UI UX. It's the ease of using it, so you don't think what's in the background.
Just I was thinking when I first started doing research in Web3, and sorry, this is like a Web2 guy's sort of story, but when I first made my first wallet, and the guy that showed me how to do it says, okay, now you take this piece of paper, you write these 24 words, you hide it somewhere, don't take a picture of it. No, that's not good. No, imagine me or Tada doing this to our users when they first join. The user goes on the iOS App Store and downloads the Tada app, right? And they go in, and that's the first thing they see. Okay, you have a wallet. That's really cool, Web3. But then you need to do this James Bond stuff, they're not going to do it. Like, you're going to have a 99.99% drop-off rate, and that's not mass adoption. That's mass disaster, I would say. So I think xPortal is an amazing tool. Having MultiversX as a future-proof sort of architecture to build on is also, it gives me peace of mind that 5 years from now, we're not going to have issues if hopefully our user base grows to millions. So there's a lot of boxes that were checked. I guess I don't want to speak for Tada, but for myself as well. When we picked MultiversX as the platform for Web3, I think the boxes were checked properly, and that's really nice.
I can vouch for that.
Yeah, awesome.
The UI UX it's really unmatched, and don't want to dive into the technical side of it too much. Everything from hero tags to the meta transactions, it's what's necessary for adoption. You need free transactions. When people go create their Gmail account, they don't pay to do it, and they're not going to create their wallet but to sign into a game, even if it does have a transaction. So, and MultiversX definitely is one of the best for that. Indeed, they've got the foundation to allow dApps like yours to really bring it to the masses because of that, to make it so simple, even with passkeys and guardians, stuff that make things secure for users and where they can just log in with a Google account if they want. That's absolutely necessary for adoption.
Yeah, social login is absolutely a must. In my case, at least, we need to have that. Otherwise, again, you're losing potentially, the biggest part of your Web2 user base will never come to Web3 if you put even one simple blocker there. They're not gonna pass. Everything needs to be so seamless, and the idea of having a blockchain in the background, an invisible blockchain sort of approach, I think that's the most useful way to bring in Web2 to Web3.
But that's where we're at. I mean, we're trying to work on wallet abstraction, and we did some tests with more like Web2 type of crowds. We lost them on the onboarding, so we know that the system is stable, sustainable, and now we need to work on that aspect. And as you said, Mihai, it's one of the most crucial aspects to be able to go to the next million users, which is our objective for Q1. Is we want to get, we're in that phase 2 where we launched this summer, and now we want to. The app is out there, and we want to get all those millions of users, but there's still that little hurdle, and that's where exactly what you said is what the state we're in right now is to grow and get
our partnership will probably get us there in Q1, Q2, because that's exactly what we're going to start as well.
Yeah.
The way we're approaching things at AI Nexus is go Web 2 and add blockchain as an incentive layer. So if you don't want to have anything to do with blockchain, okay, fine. I'm not going to force you, because if I force you, I'm going to lose you forever. If I give you the Web3 stuff as incentives, as claim this NFT, but you need a wallet. You want this, but how about you double it? Or, there is this cute beaver pet that you can own. No pun intended or no references, but that's the one we already have in the game.
Or duck.
There's this beaver, but it's an NFT. You can't have it unless you have the NFT. If someone really wants that beaver, they're gonna go to xPortal. It's another mobile app. It's easy to transition from one to the other. There's no secret phrases that you need to go crazy with. You have the guardian, you have the security. I think there's a lot of stuff just coming together. It's not perfect yet, but I think it's getting there.
And on our side, we haven't decided on everything, but what you said is kind of what we're thinking. Maybe we should actually talk about it together. It's like,
yeah, we should.
The simple mode, like what I say is, I want my mom to be using Tada instead of playing on Candy Crush. I say that probably every day. But then we'd have the simple mode. She doesn't have to know it's on the blockchain, there's this and that happening. And then if you want to have the advanced mode and you want to know about liquidity providing and staking, which is going to boost your airdrop, is going to boost your rewards every day. Oh, okay, then you want to learn maybe, and then we have a tutorial, and then there's this and that, and so you can have the more advanced for
we'll make a nice 3D tutorial for Tada in AI Nexus. That's the beauty of our platform. We can create stuff, right? You take your avatar, go there, click this, do that, tap this, and then you know how to do it.
Maybe step one is you take a selfie, and then your face is on the avatar, and then you're explaining it to yourself, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've already done that. Maybe I'll show you later.
Yeah, show them what you've done, if you like, a little bit later, because it's
Dave, whenever you think it's time, I'll share the little demo that I prepared for this evening, just for laughs.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, no, that would be great for sure. And so let's kind of dive into the projects a little bit more. And so this will be for you, Mihai. We know that AI Nexus, or you mentioned, it allows users to create the digital twins and obviously virtual spaces, and it's going to be used for gaming as well. So how do you see this platform kind of redefining the way people interact in Web3?
Yeah, so first of all, I kind of like to call AI Nexus a Web 2.5 app. And maybe that's a bit annoying to some people, but I think that's the reality of it. I think I want to take the best of both worlds. We do know that people are on their mobile phones, and more likely than not, they get their apps from the Google Play and from the App Store. You can try to give them, as many projects have tried before, like a test flight account or an APK to install. Many of your viewers maybe have never even heard of this before. So imagine how unlikely it is that someone will take a file, install. The system says, "Are you sure you want to install this file?" It's not seamless. It's almost impossible to get people to play. So we want to go where the users are, and that's on mobile. And I think that's a good decision, because mass adoption, you can't have mass adoption if you're a high-end VR headset or a high-end game that requires a specific graphics card to play. Or those have their spots, and I enjoy those. But for our project and for Tada as well, I guess the goal was to be where the users are, make it seamless. That's the Web 2 part of it. The Web 3, as I said, will come, for us at least, it will come as an incentive. Everything that you do in the app, not everything, but for a lot of things that you do in the app, there will be incentives. And I gave a couple of examples before. You win a game, let's say one of our mini games, you get a reward, 1,000 in-game currency, 1,000 gold coins or whatever. But then you also might get an NFT, which you need to claim. But you don't have to. You can claim it, or you can skip it. But people will feel like they're missing out, because you get 2 rewards, but you're only claiming one, and you're losing the other one. So I think that's the approach that we will follow most likely when we launch. But then there are other things, like we have text to 3D AI generators. You go in, you type something, it creates a 3D object for you. What if you take that object and you mint it as an NFT, put it on the open market, and now you have a product that maybe will sell on the open market, and you are the creator and the owner of that product until you sell it, of course. But then this allows people to do something that they never could a year ago or 2 years ago. If you want to create a 3D object, trust me, my team will tell you, it will take between 1 day to 1 week to create a nice chair or a car or whatever. It might take even more. Here, it takes 2 minutes maybe, and you don't have to be technical. So I see a lot of things that can be used from Web3 to give value to the stuff that was Web2 only up until this point. There are many other examples, but I don't want to take over the entire conversation.
Can I ask a quick question? I mean, it's probably in your pipeline, but will you be able to voice command stuff in it as well? So build me a room that looks like Donald Trump's shower. And it would, or whatever it might be, and it will just do it, because boy, that's a great interface if you can get it to work.
Right. Yeah, I know. Like,
just say yes. Just say yes. That's fine.
Yeah, yes. In the future, if like there's a small footnote in the future. Yes, we will try it.
Voice.
Yeah, I think anything will be possible with the additional AI and even AGI that we might see in the next couple of years. So
yeah, it would be stupid to say no to this, because like 1 year ago, if you asked me, can I go in and type something and it makes a 3D object, I would say, Adam, come on,
Yeah,
come on. 50 years from now, sure. Now, impossible. But now we already have that working, and I'm amazed. I'm amazed myself. And the whole voice thing create me the Donald Trump, whatever you said, shower or whatever that was. In my work, we don't have that now, and we're not smart enough to build that. But we work as an AI wrapper, so we're pretty crafty from this perspective. We take the good stuff that other companies are building, and we're putting them to use in a very simplified UX and under the same roof. Nexus basically means central focal point. So that was the whole premise of the app. Get the tools that work. Don't reinvent the wheel, but get the tools that work, put them in a single app, and let people just have fun without any technical or graphical or coding skills.
Awesome. Yeah, and I like that you said you're focusing kind of on mobile initially, because I think I read recently mobile gaming is 10 times larger than console and PC and VR gaming combined. So
I think it's like 3 billion, close to 3 billion, or even more now, mobile gamers.
And
so
I see why. I do everything on my phone, so I get it. That's me.
So can I ask a quick question, because it's interesting, like gaming versus when you see these bespoke towers that gamers have with bright lights and multiple fans and stuff like that, and screens, that are like 360 and everything.
Yeah.
But that's hardcore. And I think if when you look at the resolution of phones, I think if you crack that, so you can have that experience in your hand, which a lot of games have now, that's the killer, because there's one is the cost, there's one the freedom of it. I mean, my children play games. It's like, gee, you want a dedicated tower? They're so expensive. I can buy a car.
Yeah.
So if you can bring it on mobile and give it that, and the speed of being able to generate stuff with AI and the visual side of it, I think that's just going to be a killer. Why wouldn't anyone want to build on your product? I mean, that's where I see it.
Yeah, and also, if I may say something, the hardcore gamers with their amazing 5-6 monitor setup and a chair that has speakers in the those are fine. I love those back in the day as well. I never had them, but I love them. But even on mobile, and I'm sure Tada has gone through this as well, but maybe not as much as we will and we have with our Web2 games. Not everyone has the latest iPhone model. We need to think of the people that have phones that are 5 years old. They have like 3 or 4 gigabytes of RAM. Those are not powerful phones by any means. They weren't powerful even 5 years ago. I need my app to run on those. Exactly. I guess you and Alex's mom are my first 2 test subjects. I'll send you the app. You can put it on low resolution. It's fine. But I need to see that you guys can play on it. So mass adoption means everyone. And I think even for the virtual world space or metaverses, as they were called, and now it's not cool to call them like that anymore, a lot of them were high barrier of entry. You needed to own this NFT to even be allowed in the walled garden. I think we need to be free. We need to be accessible to everyone. And when I mean we, I mean all of the apps that want to have mass adoption. Free, accessible, and seamless integration and easy to use. If you overcomplicate things, you're going to lose users like crazy.
Yeah. If I may just add on that, we kind of had the same thought process where one of the reasons, well, actually, there's two reasons why we went mobile with a mobile app, because we could have just have a browser-based solution that would be fired off of your phone. But there's much more retention on an app because it takes some space on your screen as an icon, and it's not kind of a link that's saved in your bookmarks of your browser or something. So it's like much more, takes more space, and it's you kind of forget it less. So good for retention. Plus, I mean, and that's more of a technical thing. Just like you said with like older phones, we have kind of the same thing for microphones because we want people to record themselves or. Also, there's other use cases for computer vision for robots where you got to take pictures and label images. And so for, some low resource languages in, like third world countries where you need to go and collect dialects or, whatever languages, sometimes they have phones with lower quality microphones. So we had to go and buy all those different kinds of phones to perform tests.
I have like 50 phones in my studio as well, so I know what you're talking about.
And so kind of what Adam pulled out, we got to kind of have the same ones for iPhone and for Android to kind of test everything. And sometimes we still have surprises, and we're like, okay, now this model, that's a problem. We got to go and fix it, and so it's pretty, keeps you busy.
Sorry to cut you off, Dave.
Oh, go ahead, I'm done.
No, I was just saying that with the mobile app, you have the retention, but you also have push notifications if the users allow them, which help a lot. And then you also have the exposure on the app stores, because I think that's maybe even the most important thing. Because if you're not on the app stores, how will users find you or install your app?
It's a reflex.
And app stores, and the app stores, they already have everything set up, so the user just taps and that's it. They don't need to do anything. So the drop-off rates are very low. And the second thing is that they also have the organic traffic, which otherwise you wouldn't get. Like, you need to pay for absolutely every user that joins finds your app. While on the app stores, if you're ranking high, and that's our strategy for ranking our games, if you're top 3 for simulation games in France, a lot of users will come to your app. But then, you can't have that if you're just on a browser.
You bring up an interesting point too that I didn't plan on diving into, but the app stores, they really bring a kind of a centralized aspect into it. Do you see us ever moving away from a place where we're not bound by Apple or Google for having and using apps or accessing these?
Yeah, I have an answer, but I'll let the other guys answer first, because mine is a bit harsh.
I don't have much of I never actually thought about it. It's a great question. What I'm thinking is you still need a place to go and get stuff. So having some sort of a centralized place is, I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing. It's a bad thing in a sense where, like, do we want to talk about it? Okay, let's go into it. Like if you talk about Apple, any sale you make, they take 30%. So that's a problem, but they're king in their own kingdom, right? I mean, so you got to play with the rules if you want to be on Apple, and you cannot not be on iPhones. So then that's one problem. But one good thing, let's try to have one good one and a bad one. But one good thing is if you say, hey, we're having an app called Tada, people go pull up the iPhone, go on the App Store, type in Tada. If you're not there, you're pretty much nobody. That's a good thing. And I don't know, it's a really good question, actually.
I've been through this a lot. Sorry, Adam, please go ahead.
So I'll look at it from a marketing point of view. You have no power at the moment. So you have to think of Apple as the retailer, the supermarket, the Walmart, and you're trying to get a new product, a new range of coffee on there. You have no power. But once you get it into people's hands, then you have the power to either lower your listing price or to start up another network. So let's take, for example, who's one of the most powerful brands in the world? Coca-Cola. If Coca-Cola said, sorry, Walmart, you're not selling our product, or to McDonald's or whoever it might be. They've got the power. So I think this is the conversation I have a lot when we're talking about real world adoption, real world user cases. Are we decentralized? You have to play by the game until you've got a big enough mass and a big enough fan base behind you that they can go and set their own, marketplace up, or make their own phone. Now that's going to be interesting if you sort of go down the X rabbit hole and say, okay, he's done polls, Musk has, I'm going to bring out my own phone. Okay, so do you think he's going to charge the same rates as Apple and Google Play? No. He's just going to want mass adoption. He's lowering the barriers to adoption. It's the same when any company, especially Japanese in the 70s and 80s, that's how they did it. You'd subsidize it. In marketing, it's a loss leader to get people into the store, and then you build it up. So I think this is where I love the phrase you got. It's Web 2.5. And you could call it.
Oh, you love that.
Web business.
I was staying away from it. I was staying away from it, but
it's the balance.
It's the one that best describes the balance between the two.
Yeah,
if I may,
go on. You tell us your hardcore view, though.
It's not necessarily hardcore. I think it's realistic. Like, okay, I'm Apple. You have these developers. There's no Web3, right? When they started, or it wasn't popular at all. You come to my store, and I'll charge you between 15 and 30% on your in-app sales, right? On your in-app purchases. Okay, it's fair, right? I think, guys, Tada, do you have anything against it? I mean, we're using their infrastructure. I mean, it's not like you can do something about it, but
that's what I was going to say.
It's a tax, and I get it. They give us storage space. They give us organic promo. Same for Google. It's same story, same prices. A few years ago, NFTs were very illegal, very crypto. Don't touch them. A few years ago, NFTs were allowed to be bought, at least on the Play Store. I don't know about the App Store, but with a percentage. Now, there's no way you can use crypto in the game, in the apps right now, on the app stores, which is a big disadvantage for some builders. Yeah. For us, it's not, because we found a few ways to, just like Tada has, to offset this issue by having things happen outside of the app that have a correlation with the app. However, if at one point crypto becomes really popular and blockchains become popular, and Apple and Google find a way to get a percentage of the transactions, do you think they'll be against having crypto in the app? I don't think so. If they're making money, you're allowed to do that, right? NFTs were a no-no. Now you give them like 30% on the NFT sale, I think. Yeah, it's fine. NFTs are good. NFTs are cool, So I think it's a matter of time, and maybe one or two cycles, bull and bear market cycles, until adoption really starts to kick in, and the big players are forced to allow crypto in their app, in their stores. So I think it's just sort of a economical decision from their part.
I would agree with you. It is economical. It's like, from someone that's creating games, 70% of something is better than 100% of nothing. So that's one thing.
Of course.
But what you might see now is, with the change in the administration in the States, that it's going to lower the resistance and the barrier to
hopefully
bringing cryptocurrencies and blockchain into everyday use. Like, for example, I know you say you can't do a crypto payment within a game. Well, actually, the whole thing is tokenized, because you have your all your coins are like tokens in it. But hey, you can have a card, like an X Money card or whatever it might be, that just, you've got the mixture of fiat and crypto together. And it's a MasterCard. You just use it. So why couldn't you? So I think you hit the nail on the head. It's business.
It's money. It's always money.
It's money and income and revenue. And I think the shift that I see across the wider marketplaces before is a lot of early adopters of crypto got very, very rich. They, a principle isn't a principle unless it costs you money. They could have their principles. They got loads of money. Now we're at the stage where, people want to use it. And you've got an administration, especially in the States, that I think will want to use it. And that should hopefully drive even adoption of blockchain and crypto through gaming and the shopping and everything. And I think games are a great way to do it. because that is a vibrant, young, active audience as well that embrace new technology. I just think you're on to winner. And I love the fact that you guys are building on MultiversX, because that's going to drive that adoption. So yeah, I think it's perfect.
It's not even games per se. I think it's gamification. I think the concept of gamification, which can be applied to everything. Like Tada is not a game, but Tada has gamification. xPortal is not a game, but xPortal has gamification. No, so I think yeah. So that we're more of a game out of all these, but I think the gamification aspect is more important than the actual game itself. Just having those rewards, having those incentives, and that can be done in any sort of software or app. Doesn't need to be an actual game as per the regular definition.
Yeah, we still have a ways to go, but I love the direction with the politics, the regulations. I remember when Cantina Royale first launched. They were one of the, I think they might have been the first Launchpad project, actually. And the hoops and everything they had to go through in order to allow people to buy the asset in the game, which wasn't their token, was a nightmare. So they had to create this new fake token, which was their crown.
Proxy token. Yeah,
because you can't actually sell the CRT token in the game. Yeah. And I completely agree with you. I see that changing, hopefully in the next couple of years, if not even sooner, with the new administration coming in, because it's got to be creating nightmares for companies like yours that do have to think about these, what you call it, a proxy token.
Yeah, we need to be creative, but that's fine. Until the wheel turns. I think the early adopters have always had to be creative, have always faced hurdles, because if it's a beaten path, you're already too late. I'd rather have the issues now and discover new things myself. I mean, maybe not quite, but we're like halfway through mass adoption. Let's put it this way. So hopefully, Dave, as you said, maybe a few years from now, things will be a lot different, and we won't need to be as creative into how we use the blockchain outside of the app, and the terms of service need to be respected, and those are pretty strict. And I'm sure these will lighten up as adoption comes, and as it makes more financial sense for the big players to allow builders to use blockchain in the apps.
For sure. Once they realize how much money it's really involved, like Adam.
Exactly.
It's business in the end. Let's dive into Tada a little bit more. And so, kind of curious on how you came up with this idea. What inspired you to build the platform that really connects the users and the business in the way that you guys do?
Well, yeah, we needed it. We simply just needed it, and we didn't find a solution. Yeah. And so, as I was kind of saying in introduction, we've been building speech recognition for the past 10 years. So that means that you have an R&D team that builds the tech, and then you have a business team that tries to sell the tech. And when a customer tells to the business team, "We love your product, but we wanted to understand," I think back then it was Vietnamese, which we didn't have, then the R&D team needs to get a huge amount of data to train the models to start getting a system that understands the language, because AI is roughly a machine learning model, so that the brain, it's an algorithm, and it needs data to train that brain to do whatever it's supposed to do. So when we went out there to go and buy data sets and collect them, it was really complicated. You're getting headaches because you need really good quality. If the quality is not good, your AI is not going to be robust and it's not going to perform well. And so your team's going to start to want to look at each individual file, make sure it's what you bought. And so in the end, you got to trust your supplier. And when you want to have a competitive advantage, it's hard to really trust somebody else that probably doesn't care about what you're building, right? And so the trust and the black box problem of not being able to know what you have in your hands was one issue. And then the other issue was that with some of the solutions out there, the method that we chose is crowdsourcing. Amazon came out with it already in 2012 with Amazon Mechanical Turk. And we thought, having a crowd of people that would contribute to data collection would be the most scalable method, because anybody anywhere can, speak, take a picture, annotate image, write text, whatever, which, voice, image, text were the three verticals we were looking at. But the problem we've seen was that random people that provide data, roughly, they just want to get paid. They just want to get the reward. They don't really care about the quality in itself. A little bit like you'd have with airdrop farmers, like they don't really care about what's happening. They just want to get the airdrop, right? So that was an issue. So we were kind of facing a problem, a technical problem, and then more of a concept on how to produce quality with a crowd of random people. And so that's kind of what sparked the idea behind Tada, to say, okay, now we need blockchain because blockchain is going to bring you transparency. So the way we do it is that when somebody produces data, we're going to have other people that check it. And the result from that check is metadata that's on the blockchain. So then your R&D team would have a score on that data set that is transparent. I would say, okay, the data I have has a 98% score on nativeness because we want native speakers. Oh, I do have 50-50 male-female distribution, which is important. I do have a good distribution in age because that's also important. Remember the first AI systems, like if you were using speech recognition, if you would ask your grandmother or a young child, you probably have to repeat twice.
Right.
That's simply because it wasn't trained on such a wide crowd back then. So you need all of that to make sure your system is going to work. And so we have that on the blockchain. Plus, that's more on the customer facing side. Plus, you do have all the incentive mechanisms for the crowd, and having a token, having everything around building a Web3 system means you can also build a cult, and you can build something where people are super excited about what you're doing, more so than, oh, it's just an app where I get paid to do simple stuff, right? And so having, Tada the way it is now, with all those little aspects, really made sense. And we didn't see anybody else back then. So I'm talking 2.5, 3 years ago. We didn't see anybody else do it, before. And so all of a sudden you have a system that's super scalable, that is immediate, because, once one person produces data, all the rest of the crowd is going to check it. And all of a sudden you have a data set ready in a couple days instead of a couple months. And the costs are super low because we don't have any infrastructure. The recording studio is your phone. And so that's really what got us to think about building Tada the way we did.
Awesome. So yeah, it's kind of a win-win for both sides. The users get paid for their time and energy, and then the customers, the businesses, it's cheaper for them because the data is verified and it's legit. I think I remember you saying at one point that people would buy data sets of, I don't know, millions of files or whatever, and only a tiny percent were actually usable.
Yeah, you'd have, because it's really expensive. The competition, the way it's structured today, you'd have actual humans with a headset trying to listen to the data or look at the images and then say yes or no. So you'd have quality assurance, Q&A. And so, that costs a lot of money, plus it takes a lot of time, plus you got to probably, if the data is not good enough, you have to rehire the crowd to come back and produce more of the data because some of it is garbage. So usually a supplier would say, okay, you're gonna pay for either 20% sample that's checked, or 30% or more or less, and we do 100% 3 times. So and it's cheaper, and so that's to show you what blockchain can do. And in the end, to our customers, we don't really have to say it's blockchain based. They don't care. They just want to have good data at a fair price.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure. Could you give us an example for the viewers of a kind of an entire transaction, or what the customer would approach you with and say, this is what I need, all the way to how the project becomes something for the users and they end up getting, the customer gets their data at the end?
So, we're working in innovation. So the customer doesn't always exactly know what it needs, because there's several, stakeholders in the team. There's going to be the R&D team and the product team and whatnot, and the marketing team also, which has the field feedback to say, guys, we need that product. So then it goes into the product team, and it'll say, oh, we don't know how to build it. So it goes into the R&D team. So we're kind of talking to all of them. And so some companies know exactly what what they want. They have a roadmap. They know what kind of data they need to improve their accuracy score in their AI systems. And then some other companies kind of come to us, I wouldn't say for consulting, but they are expecting us to also kind of advise them or tell them how they could also, like, what's plan B or C to do it. So that's the first level, is that discussion on, what's the use case, what specifications you have, what you need. And then phase 2 is us building the campaign. So it could be, having a set of sentences or defining the scope on how you want to collect the images and whatnot. And then we go and we build a small sample just to make sure that we're all on the same page, and we deliver that. So that means there's going to be a subset of Tada users, which will be the kind of testers. They don't necessarily know it, but we're going to have a really short amount of productions, made. And so we are, at that point, we check the gender distribution and the age group, because we still need to have something that represents the end delivery of what we're going to deliver. And then from there, it's roughly just having green light and then going full scale, where each user will be invited to produce data, and then to be checked upon, and before we deliver and move on to the next campaign.
And then the users, they get kind of a rating in the end that determines how often you use them, as well as maybe even how much they make.
So yeah, and then there's also honeypots. There's a whole bunch of things that we put in the app to make sure that we can kind of monitor how good the data is being collected. But yeah, I mean, getting back into gamification on the user side, what it means is that you're going to be rewarded if you produce data, but also we're going to give you maybe a little bit of a nudge to again produce this kind of data. Like, for example, if we're not having enough people producing for this campaign, then we're going to lower like the energy, which is an in-app gamification system, so that people have more of an incentive to produce this task rather than this one. Or let's say that we don't have enough data that's checked. So in that case, we'll kill the production and leave only the checking. So then we have a lot of gamification in the app so that users are incentivized to work. And then obviously, the system we have is that if you don't do a good job, you're losing money. So that's a really strong way for people to select campaigns on which they know they're going to have a success. Like, I don't speak Vietnamese. I'm not going to, try to do it because I'm going to lose my deposit. And that's something very transparent. Also, it's on the blockchain, and every deposit that's lost goes back into the price pool. Some of it is burned. You can have a look on the Explorer on MultiversX and look at all the burn that happens like every couple seconds from people, providing work and whatnot. So it's a pretty rich. There's a couple metas in it. It's pretty rich, and so if you want to dig deeper, you can have some fun.
Awesome. Yeah, it sounds like you guys had to think about it a lot more than just telling someone, hey, read this sentence and here's what you get for doing it. There's a lot more that goes into it.
It started with that, and then we figured, hold on, we also need this and that, and so it got a bit more complex as we went.
And you made it exciting. That's the main part. Because read a sentence into your phone, okay, that's boring, right? But you packed it nicely.
But thanks for that. But it's really hard to make things simple.
Oh, yeah.
So if you add stuff, then it becomes complicated. People are lost, and you have to write a tutorial on something that wasn't supposed to be complicated.
Yeah.
So you're learning every day and trying to get feedback from the users. So that's why we also have a strong Discord, is because we need users to talk to us on what's happening, what's not happening well. So yeah, it's a learning process. And even right now, so it's been, I'd say, roughly 1 year since we started to have the first couple hundred users. Still today, we're still in a beta where every week we're testing new stuff, A/B testing new stuff, until it gets at a sustainable point where we know we can go, full scale in.
I think a lot of people think of apps and games that, okay, it's produced, it's released, that's it. We fix a couple of things, but that's it. No, continuous development project. That's the name of the game. You never stop. You never stop building. You iterate, reiterate, A/B test. That it's a continuous cycle. And it's not okay, this is it, and that's that.
Yeah, and at some point it's going to be boring if it's all done and working real, right? And you're gonna find the next thing to do. But no, we have meetings every week with the business team, with the tech team, with everybody on, okay, what do we need to improve, and we have to decide every week on what's the priority of the next release. So it's constantly, building.
So I'm really curious to hear how the partnership kind of came to be, and where how you guys are going to play off each other and help each other, because again, two very interesting but different platforms.
Yeah, I have a few ideas. They're all in a, sort of an early stage because, again, since our app is not completely done, so that I can share with the Tada team, for example, or with Adam, and they can say, okay, how about we try this here? It's a lot harder for them to understand what sort of synergies there would be between the two. However, I see a lot of things, of gamification things that can be taken from Tada and implemented into AI Nexus. Like we have speech recognition as well. We have AI agents that we're building. How about Tada creates a room in AI Nexus? They have their own AI agent that's there 24/7. That redirects people, that works maybe as a guide, that works as their Discord community manager. There's a lot of stuff that we can try together. All these things will be much more clear once we have the app done or close to done, and then we can start actually doing implementation tests. But I think in Q2, Q3, you'll see a lot of the stuff that Tada will be doing, complemented by what we're doing, or even communicating with what we're doing. The same with xPortal. We want to have a similar relationship with xPortal as well, especially on the gamification side. Or as you've seen, X Launchpad, they've just launched the challenges portal, which again, that sort of approach can be found in our app and integrated quite easily. Right now, you have to go and like a post or create some content. AI Nexus is all about creating content, so we'll be very open with a lot of projects. That was the main goal, just build something that's absolutely scalable and where anyone can come and find something to do, or find a business integration that works.
Do you have any thoughts on that, Alex?
Yeah, without spoiling anything, roughly the partnership we talked about was kind of multifaceted. One hand, Mihai has really extensive experience on having apps that gets mass adoption, a lot of retail. That's a lot of things that we have to learn, and that's one part of the partnership. Another part is more of a technical kind, where with what Mihai is building, we can be a provider for that and have a feedback loop that's really close because we're from the same ecosystem. And so it's something really rich that I won't repeat twice what Mihai just said. I just want to add those two aspects. But yeah, it's something we're pretty excited, and we have a lot of partnerships going. But within the MultiversX ecosystem, the one with AI Nexus is one of the ones that makes a lot of sense, because AI, MultiversX all together, is something that we're really looking for it and rooting for your guys' launchpad in a couple of days.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we hope we'll get there, and we'll get the app, and we'll get the app to have the millions of users that we're trying to get. And then that was one of my initial discussions with some of the MultiversX team as well. I said, guys, I need the Web3 part. I need some help with the Web3 part, but I know how to get users. So you guys help me get the blockchain integrated and understand this whole space, and I'll try to get as many of those users to come to become MultiversX users. How many will convert from Web2 to Web3? I have no idea. But out of millions of users, hopefully, even if 1% converts, that's a lot. So yeah, we'll see. I guess even for our partnership and partnerships with others in the ecosystem, a lot of stuff you can't really plan right now. We'll need to go live, and we'll need to see what happens. And then projects will come to us and say, okay, build me a virtual office or something in AI Nexus, or I've just built this, can you help me with that? And obviously we will be very open to the MultiversX community at first, because that's our initial starting point. And actually, I just noticed, Alex, that you're in the virtual room with me, with your avatar. So Dave, if you don't mind, at any point that you think is suitable, I just want to show like 1 minute of the...
Let's do it. Definitely.
Yeah, because it's right on point with what I was talking.
What's nice is that there's everybody. Knights of Katina, Aswap, Inspire, Hatum.
Like you were saying, you guys, you have the customer or the user acquisition side down for sure. Well, I think you said over 100 million apps or downloads on your apps so far, and 30 million monthly active users on your
that's on the large gaming network that we're part of, on the OVLX network. There's basically two studios building apps for the network. One is OVLX and one is us, and we're publishing our games in the network. And our games, I think we're over 100 million installs, way over by now on the app stores. I'm going to present again because I found
me. I'm just trying to figure out how to make him walk at the moment.
Oh, I'm still at the same spot. Cool.
Oh, you're stuck, Alex? Yeah.
No,
well, yeah. So basically what I'm what we've built here is just, I mean, this is just the crazy stuff. Hey, Alex, come with me. Let's have a look at the Tada logo. So what we've designed here basically is sort of like a virtual hub where yeah, right. Let's celebrate. Okay, that's a weird dance, but hey, we're in a virtual world. We can do whatever. We try to create this sort of big space where each of the projects, if they want to, they can come in, and this functions like a teleporter, and it takes you to the Tada office or to the Tada nightclub or to the Tada rooftop garden or
the data center
or whatever you want to create, because the thing is that we will have a lot of templates, and then on those templates you can customize them, upload your logo, change the colors, build stuff with AI. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do, and obviously we just put some logos here, like different projects that are building on MultiversX, and it's just a sort of a nice way to share the user base in a way, because all of the users, they come into AI Nexus and come into this public room, which will be featured on the homepage. They can then go and learn about Tada, learn about AirSwap or Cantina Royale or all the other projects that are building and that want to have a presence here. So this is one of the things that we're doing. And if you don't mind, Alex, I'll just leave you alone in the MultiversX hall for a second, because I want to show you something about the AI generation. And here, maybe Adam and Dave, if you want to chip in. I just want to show you how the customization thing works. I'll do it in my own personal home here in AI Nexus, but just so you see some of the things in action. So, okay, Adam, let's put you on the spot. What would you like our Chat GPT virtual agent to tell you?
Can you create a robot version of a Jeff Koons balloon dog?
Okay, how do you spell that?
Jeff Jeff and Koons Koons.
Balloon dog?
Yeah, balloon dog.
This guy doesn't create stuff. He will just answer, but
he might give you some advice. That was a difficult question, wasn't it?
No, it's fine. I'll ask. Let's see what he says.
Imagine if there's a robot popping up right now.
No, there will be, but just give me a second. Oh, Jeff Koons with a
creating a robot version of a Jeff Koons balloon dog involves designing a mechanical structure that mimics the form and aesthetic of the original artwork while incorporating robotic elements.
But let me
this could include a lightweight frame with flexible materials to replicate the balloon appearance, coupled with servos and actuators for movement. The exterior could be a glossy, colorful finish, and technology like sensors for interaction
let's see if the
or an AI system for basic
knows,
behaviors
what you're talking
might
about.
be added for enhancement.
Okay, come on, work. I think
your NFTs here in the frame, right?
No, I mean the whole
it's there. See?
Of course.
Wow, very cool.
Of course, it's there, and we can we can move this around if we want, or just
the three-legged dog. Cool.
Well, you know, AI
It's
keeps
like
adding fingers and stuff. So
makes it unique.
yeah. Right. So, and then maybe Dave, I'll just and to finalize this, I'll give you a quick. So we'll go outside, and this is a nice environment, but I want you to suggest any other type of environment. And why I'm doing this sort of small experiment is to show you guys and to show to your viewers that you can come in here and just type something and it happens. So you don't need to know a lot. You just need to be a bit creative, and you create something that's really special. So Dave, if you don't mind, just give me a prompt for the surrounding area. Where would you like your or my house in this example to be situated? In the Arctic, in a desert, or go nuts if you want.
Let's go in the forest and
Right.
with a big tree house and a tire swing.
Okay, it might not get all the things, but let's see what happens. So this is like unscripted, unrehearsed. It will take like 20-30 seconds for the image generation, for the skybox generation to work. But I'll just stay here on the porch, watch the sunrise, and then once and by the way, I know my eyes are a bit dead and my neck kind of shows. So I'm going to show you the bad stuff as well. This is for the basically for the web version. In the mobile app, we don't have this issue. We're still very limited with the web version. Okay.
Yep.
Well, you got your tire somehow. It did make a big tree, if I'm to be honest. Yeah. Like it's quite a big tree. And then yeah, you got your forest. It's not perfect, but also think about this. This is the worst that the AI will be. Like we're looking at very primitive things right now, and I still think they create amazing stuff. I'm gonna stop the presentation, but yeah, that was sort of like an impromptu test of what we're building, and I just wanted you guys to see how sort of easy it is to go in there, type something, and then create something that was otherwise impossible to do like a year or two ago.
Yeah,
looks really nice,
cool.
man.
Yeah, nice job. It's neat to see how AI can play into these projects, and there's a blockchain element to it as well, which will be kind of behind the scenes and almost hidden, which it should be.
Yeah.
So let's take, for example, the picture that you did for Adam. That could then be
that can be an NFT,
NFT and even sold.
That's
right?
the plan. That's the plan. Also, if you create like a very nice space, like I decorate the space with AI, with my own skills of an interior decorator, and I get a lot of users in, I want users to be able to mint that space as well and sell it if they want to. Because any virtual space can be considered much like a social media account or a website or a blog. You know, it comes with a value if people give it value. If it has users, it's a valuable thing. So a lot of content creators, a lot of influencers can come in and do some crazy stuff in AI Nexus, and then just monetize it if they want to. So obviously, we're just exploring these. I don't have like a set date when you will be able to create your space and make it an NFT. But as soon as we launch, we'll start to implement all of these Web3 aspects. And incentivize people to use them. So it's going to be a long journey. That's why I said continuous development. But we're going to work hard on it, and a lot of stuff is going to happen.
Awesome. Yeah, you're building on the right chain for it too. One that's set for the future and has the foundation to really bring it to the masses, which is great.
I think so.
So yeah, let's dive into more specifics around the AI and blockchain and how they're kind of meant for each other. So I'm curious to hear some more of your thoughts, all three of you, on how you see these two massive technical innovations really working together.
I can start if you wanted. So what we see is that the more AI advances, the more problems arise. For example, you can have product placement without knowing it. You could say, what's the best water in the world? It could answer with an answer. Or you could say, who's going to be the next president? I think there was something about that during the election.
Yeah.
And who knows, like, who holds the, you can manipulate masses of people with like pushing the narrative that you want to push if it's centralized. So I'm really talking about how it is kind of today when it is centralized. And so there's that, there's that aspect. And so having something that's obviously decentralized, that means that you'd be able also to trace how the reply has been built. I don't know if you remember about that time when you could go on Gemini and say, show me a picture of the Queen of England, and it was overly woke because that's the way they built the AI system. So if it's centralized, there's that issue of who's controlling, the answer that I'm getting. So something decentralized should bring you, transparency, monetization, all the good stuff that you have elsewhere, without talking about AI, but elsewhere already in blockchain. So just starting with that, it's really powerful to be able to say, okay, I know that I'm getting unbiased results. I know how the decision was made. For example, on Grok, I think that when you prompt it, it gives you the sources of how it built the answers, because it's going to take, I think it's based only on Twitter, like Twitter answers. But then anybody can say anything on Twitter, so then it's maybe still skewed, right? So you got to still pay attention to that. I would say also that it's not always efficient. It's kind of an unpopular opinion where having everything hosted on one single physical server makes sense. Okay, like if I having a locally hosted system on my phone and the whole network is decentralized, and maybe Mihai's phone is the one that's going to compute my prompt, or getting some sources elsewhere, it's going to take 1 week for the reply to come back. So it's going to cost a lot of money. It's going to cost a lot of energy. So for some specific use cases, you have to decide if it's going to be centralized or decentralized. But the way, the state we're in right now is, I'm guessing is going to evolve. The way it's in right now is still makes a lot of sense to have something centralized on the technical aspect of it, on hosting and running the reply.
So yeah, it's such a hot topic right now too, the centralization versus decentralization, and how it's still kind of a gray area, but it's fascinating too, especially with the AI aspect and how powerful it is. I remember reading that AI is able to figure out who you're going to vote for just by looking at the last 10 things you liked on any social media platform. That's crazy.
I would just add that we're using AI a lot as a buzzword. Facebook is already able to push ads, and that's the whole model is it knows you better than yourself. It's able to push ads that you're going to FOMO and click on it and buy that new whatever. It's not, we weren't using the word AI back then. It's still the same system.
Algorithm. The word was algorithm.
I'm going to look at it from a consumer, an audience's point of view. Whether it's decentralized or not, I don't think matters. I agree with both you guys saying, the existing Facebook models, everything is an algorithm. It can serve you an ad, a message of one. It knows what you're doing. I think if there was one thing that blockchain was built for, if the internet connects everybody, then blockchain means you can trust everybody. Now, whether you accept that or not as an end user doesn't really matter in my point of view. But there are 3 stages. I mean, and you are AI expert, so I'm looking at this as a KISS approach, keep it simple, stupid, where you would find blockchain could help. We know that 25-44% is a hallucination. Okay, fine. So it's got 3 stages. I think AI can help you, and this is across everything. It can say, are the ingredients that are going into that large language model, are they true? It's like you're doing a recipe. Are they organic? Are they vegan? Now, I tell you that those ingredients are 50% true, could be vegan. Whether you go ahead and do that recipe, it's up to you. It's like in the Matrix. I'm only showing you the truth. I think for a blockchain-based solution to work with LLMs is going to be nigh on impossible, because that is their secret sauce. It is so powerful. They're opening up their gateway to their secrets. And I just think that's going to be so hard to do. The other one is what comes out the end of the sausage machine. And it says, given everything that we know and we've checked, this output using your vegan organic, versions is 30% true. Whether you choose to accept that is fine. So it could be a picture of a dog or a person. You go, well, I don't mind that. However, if it's how to build a new drug that cures cancer, or your cancer results or your scans. I was talking to someone out in Korea about this, about how they use an AI to scan cancer results. It still has to be checked. It's never going to be 100% accurate, but it's saying based on everything we know, it's 90% accurate as well. In the same way, when you go onto a website now and you have the little browser with the lock, we all accept it that it's probably never going to be 100% not being a scam. I think the ultimate user experience would be whatever application you're using, there is a way of verifying it very, very quickly to say 60% of this output that it's given is true, or 50% of what's going into it. So put it in the point of view of the user, and then you go, okay, do you believe in that? Now, that could apply to voting. So if you talk about truth tokens for a journalist, and you go, well, actually, based on everything I know, 80% of what this journalist tells you is true. And that's, to me, if we think about it, keep it simple, stupid, and go, right, how true is this? Can you trust it? That would be great. You know, an image of, you know, there was arguments over Camilla coming off a plane with 10,000 crowd and Donald saying there was nobody there. And it's just like, well, based on everything we know, we think it's 70% true that there was 10,000 people there. And I think that's as far as we can go. And we then have to leave the judgment to the people, because the people, you know, you have two politicians talking to you on a debate, no AI, no nothing. It's up to you how you interpret them. So I think that's where I see AI working and coming together. I actually believe it's a great enabler. I know people are going, it's Arnie and Terminator and AI agents, it's going to rule you, and there's going to be this collective intelligence. And you go, well, we've sort of got that with everything now. That's how I see it. I agree with, I think Mihai is saying we call it AI, but it's just algorithms work in a different way. We just have to find a way that we can look at it and understand it faster. And that's why something like MultiversX is a chain that can scale and can work that way, so it can check and do the balances. That's where I see it working. The final thing, because I do have to jump on another one, is like people talk a lot about universal basic income. You know, oh, well, AI is going to take all our jobs. I saw someone say, hey, one person create the $1 billion company. Well, now you've fired everybody that possibly got any money to buy anything from that $1 billion company. So economics will balance itself out in a way. But I like the idea of what Musk was saying, which is universal higher income. It just allows us to think more and be more creative. In the same way, a computer that we take for granted now, it means we don't have to write everything down. And if you take that sort of attitude, it is just a tool to enable you to do something faster and better. That's how I see it. I see it as a really, really good thing. It just, so the two elements, I guess, is one, can you trust what it's getting given? That's your decision. You probably don't care if it's a picture of your dog, but you might if it's a cure for cancer. And also, it's just a tool. You know, if you could build the Raptor 6 engine in half the time, then you'd do it. If you could find a cure for cancer in half the time, you would. If you could find a lost relative, you would. And that's where I think this is what frustrates me a little bit, is that people are putting on a negative view of AI, when actually I think its potential is huge to do good. But then I'm not even a half full guy. I'm a glass 150% full guy. So again, Dave, I have to go on to another call in a moment. Is there any last thing you can edit me out and you can put an avatar? Why don't you replace me with Mihai's version of me?
I'll
and stick it in there. Is there anything else? Because I think you guys are having a much deeper conversation that I'm really enjoying, and I don't want to stop it. But I'm really sorry, Dave. I do have to jump on some other calls in America.
Oh, no worries at all. I'm sure this is a topic that we could probably discuss for hours on end. It's such a massive topic, and we're still in the very early days of it.
Just think positively about it. And I think with MultiversX, you've got a platform that will enable you both to create great solutions. The other thing maybe I'll leave you with this one. We've talked a lot about the end user, but also we should talk about the builder and the barriers to people being able to build on MultiversX fast or on the blockchain. And so there's as much value, probably even more value, in building interfaces and UI UX to allow people to build than there are for consumers actually to build. We talk about gaming. Years ago, I helped launch Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah, and Sega was the best. It was the Sega Saturn. Oh, it was fantastic. Really hard to program. And the PlayStation came out, and it was fun, and you could build games really fast. And the PS5 is still existing, and Sega's disappeared. So we shouldn't underestimate the ease of people being able to build on it. It doesn't have to be the best product. It has to be the easy product for people to build things on. I'm going to have to jump, guys. Look, I will leave the studio. Look, I really appreciate it. Have a deeper dive. I'll look later as well as what you've done. Dave, thanks for inviting me to it.
Sounds good. I appreciate you.
All right, look, thank you so much, guys.
He's right. You guys are the heroes, the builders, because the apps are what's going to bring the users and really bring this to the masses. It's not even the blockchain. And MultiversX is an amazing technological feat, an amazing blockchain, but it's the builders that are going to really bring it to the people. And I love the focus they're taking to make it easier for you guys to do what you need to do to bring the people in.
Yeah. And so yeah, to touch back on what Adam said, he said that it's also, you have to think about how to onboard the builders. I think that's where Apple had really good success with launching the iPhone, was that they introduced the concept of having everybody being able to build an app that's going to be inside a device. I think they were kind of the first one to build an ecosystem of builders, not just an ecosystem for users like with gaming. And I think that's like super crucial. And if you have that vision, and then you also have the vision on the user side, then I think that's the winning equation that any ecosystem, because MultiversX is an ecosystem, that's what any ecosystem should be having, and super important.
Yeah. So that brings up another question too, I guess, is we see these other ecosystems, Sui, for example, that's got a game console that they're launching. Solana obviously has their phone. Do you believe that kind of is the future of how some of this is going to come about, because they have the product as well?
When you look at, like in Asia, they have super apps and they have a different kind of mindset. I'm saying they, because I'm from Europe, and in Europe, like everything is kind of scattered. I think in the US, it's kind of the same thing. You kind of use a lot of apps for a lot of services. In Asia, they kind of have one huge app for everything. So having even the device, the hardware, where on the hardware, like Adam was also talking about, X probably coming out with their device. Imagine a world where they'd have their blockchain, they'd have their social media, they'd have their connection system with Starlink. You can even have your car that will get you to work. And I don't know if that's the way to go. It's certainly one of the ways it's going to go. But today, with Android and Apple, they're like the two leading ecosystems that we see, and kind of the daily, lives for users I'm talking really about, devices. I think it's an interesting thing to have more competition. I think it's healthy to have more competition, because that's the way also for the big players to reinvent themselves. We've seen it with AI. OpenAI came in, and the major player you were looking up to were like, oh, hold on a second, they're getting better than us. And so now they have to innovate. Now they have to put budget on there, and it helps the whole ecosystem, as a whole. So I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a Grok user. I use some of the others. I'm really looking forward to Grok V3, because Elon is hyping it up and saying it's going to be just insanely powerful.
I'm using it just so that it would rephrase the Twitter way, because it's good at doing that.
Yeah, very cool. So what is next we'll start off with you. What's next for Tada?
Scaling. We just changed our tokenomics. We've been building. We launched the app. It's up and running. Anybody, anywhere can get it. Now we're there to scale. So we're having a daily airdrop. We're having a daily burn. We're having huge incentives for users to come in. And we set everything in motion so that all the KPIs that we're having, we're super happy that all the numbers are going up. We're outputting 2 to 3 million data points per week. We're having 75,000 downloads since launch this summer. We're having roughly 50 customers. That's really good. and we modified the tokenomics to reflect that also on the token price. And that's an announcement we did 2 weeks ago. So we're setting everything in motion, to blow up and get to the next million users in next quarter. That would be awesome. Also because that helps on the business side, because the more people we have, the more diversity and the lower the bias in the data set. So it's also a business need that we have for that. But roughly that's really what's coming up next.
So what about yourself, Mihai, and AI Nexus? What's next for AI Nexus?
Oh man, it's like, do we have another 3 hours? Because there's so much. We haven't even launched yet, so there's so much. I think in the next few months, we'll focus heavily on finalizing the app, having the correct blockchain integrations in the app, going live. We'll probably start a bit slow with a soft launch. We'll launch the app for a week or two in a country or 2 countries, just to test it out, to take out the bugs. We don't want to make a big splash with the defective app. We'd rather take it slow, build something that anyway it will be built upon. And our goal is to try and launch a stable app in Q1 or beginning of Q2 at the latest. Get a lot of users in. We will be promoting the app in the gaming network, as I mentioned. I'm expecting to get anywhere between 10 to 15, maybe to 20,000 installs per day once we launch. Once we fully launch the marketing campaign, again, as I said, that we'll take it a bit gradually, just to make sure nothing breaks, to make sure everything works properly, and then get as many users as we can. Try to dominate the top charts on the app stores, and try to make everything work in the Web 2.5 scenario that I explained. Get the best of both worlds. Just take out the stuff that the Web3 stuff that hurts our Web 2 presence, because the terms of service of the stores will be changing, hopefully for the better, not for the worse. Right now they're in between, and just try to polish the app and grow it, and then find more and more use cases for our platform. And once we reach a critical mass, I haven't talked about the business integrations and product placement yet, but once we reach a critical mass of, let's say, 500,000 to 1 million users, we want to go out to businesses and tell them, guys, look, we have a user base. You can come in. You're a furniture producer, for example, manufacturer. We can create your spring or summer collection of furniture in our app. It will be placed free for our users. They'll buy it, they'll use it, they'll decorate their homes with it, and there will be a small buy button that takes them to the actual manufacturer's real product. Because this is the digital twins idea that I kept talking about. It's not just about your avatar, it's also about this phygital approach in which a virtual asset also exists in a real form. And for e-commerce, I think this can be very interesting, because people get to try your product, like clothing brands, Benny's jacket. I gave that as an example a few times. We can have Benny's jacket from the manufacturer. Okay, you buy it as an NFT. Everyone admires you in the app, but then you can also go with a tap of a button. You can go to whoever makes the jacket. I don't want to advertise for anyone, and buy it from there, and it kind of creates a more direct and more personal link from an e-commerce point of view. Plus the business integrations that I talked about before. Tada can have an office in AI Nexus. Dave, you can have your podcast studio there as well. So we try to find use cases for almost everyone and everywhere. Plus all the games, gamification, social aspects, contests that you can create, communities that you can build, communities that you can bring from the outside and get into the app. And the idea that we can give a visual presence to builders or apps, from example, from the Multiverse ecosystem, that have a DeFi product, for example, which is it's hard to explain it to the mainstream audience. But then if you make it into a mini game or something fun, it might be much easier to accept and to understand and to educate on that topic. So in just a few minutes, I've laid out a plan for the next 5 years. But yeah, that's sort of like the roadmap that we have.
Awesome. Yeah, you guys have some stuff going on for sure, and so many possibilities with it. I love it. And yeah, I really love both of your projects, what you guys are doing, what you're out to create, and
Thank you.
definitely following them. Looking forward to watching the partnership evolve between the two companies as well, and seeing how that all works out. And we definitely love to have you guys back on at some points. And I really appreciate you both coming on today.
Thank you, and
thank you for
look
having
up
us.
Nexus's launch. When is it, Mihai?
Next week.
Next week.
That's right.
Yeah. So if I look a bit tired, you know why.
Well, if you guys want to follow these, I'll have all their contact information down below. You can check out their projects. Make sure to follow what's going on. They've got some really cool stuff going on. And yeah, thank you both again for coming on, and looking forward to chatting again soon.